So I had my dog put down 2 days ago, and I wanted to hop on and talk about it because I do things a little differently in that I had her put down before she was ready. Now, what does that mean? It means that she was blind in one eye. She was also deaf. She didn't have any teeth. So her life was already a struggle, and she was 16 and a half, but she was not sick. I did not have to put her down. So putting her down became a choice. And I decided I would put her down because I did not want her to suffer. And this is what I wanted to talk about. It's so easy for those of us who have been raised in an environment to believe that suffering is normal. It is so easy for us to get stuck in that suffering. And if you can hear that noise, that's a guinea fowl. She's sitting right behind me. I cannot stop her from making that noise, so bear with me. So it's so easy for us to get stuck in suffering when it comes to our own lives, and we forget that we project that suffering onto our animals. We forget that they become the projection for our suffering. And sometimes people keep their animals alive a lot longer than they could have. And they don't realize it's because they have this pattern program which is stuck in suffering. And so you might be suffering, and your dog or your cat or whatever pet you have is also suffering. And it takes a minute to kind of take a look and go, yeah, no, that's not true. What? That's a crocker. But what if it's not? What if the choices that we're making for our animals in their lives is determined by our own addiction to our own pattern for suffering? What if we're making the decision to keep our animals alive through pain, through discomfort, because we are programmed and addicted to suffering, and it keeps us suffering because we feel guilt, because we feel the pain of our animal going away, because we're avoiding the pain of our animal going away. But while that animal is alive, and if they're sick and it's time for them to go, and as humans we're holding on, I'm now looking at it wondering, is there a pattern that we're attached to for their suffering? Do you kind of get what I mean? So I had a friend of mine who, they had this beautiful dog, and he got sick, and they made the choice not to put him down. And I watched for, it's like a year of this dog suffering. He had sores all over his body. They put one of those collars around his neck so he wouldn't lick the sores. And I could only stand by and watch this poor dog. And then I look back after having my dog put down. I look back and I think, and I was thinking, I wonder if there's a part of them that is so attached to their own suffering that they projected that onto their dog, and so they kept their dog suffering until they absolutely had to put it down. And it's really sad for the animals, and I think it takes a minute to take a really big step back out of yourself and go, well, is that possible? Is that what I'm doing? This is what I wanted to open a conversation up about, and maybe you can share what you think in the comments. I wanted to open a conversation up about us keeping our pets alive, letting them suffer because we don't want to put them down, maybe because we're addicted to suffering. And because we are addicted to suffering and we're addicted to the victim, if we keep our pets alive, then we can keep telling that story. We can keep telling the story of how our pet is sick and how we have to decide whether we're going to put them down or not. But for me, looking at keeping my dogs alive, when I went to the vet to have her put down, I said, look, she can't hear anything. She is blind in one eye. She has no teeth. I am having to feed her. I was at the point where I had to hand feed her every day. She was walking around and she'd get lost and confused about where she was. And I said, I could keep her alive. I can keep her alive, possibly for another 6 months or a year like this. But the suffering that she's going to continue going through, especially coming into winter, so we're coming into winter now, and we have cold winters, and as an older dog, her back legs would struggle. And I did not want that for her. I did not want her to suffer. So I made the decision before she technically had to go, before she technically had an actual forced cause to go, I made the choice to let her go. I made the choice to say, no, I want her to remember a happy day when she goes, not wait until she's in so much pain and so much discomfort and so much suffering that she has to go. I did not want to wait until she had to go. So I made the choice to let her go. So that is one thing I wanted to talk about. The other side of that I wanted to talk about was the suffering that we actually make the choice to go through independent of our pets. But let's use this as a catalyst. So she's been gone for 2 days, and I remember when I had my first cat put down, I was 16 at the time, and I'd had her from before I was born. She was a couple of months old when I was born, and she was my cat. And growing up with her, she was my life. She was my everything. So when I had her put down, I suffered greatly for a long time. And we're not just talking a couple of weeks, we're talking years. Even in my 20s, I was still missing her, even though I had another cat. I was still missing her. And I suffered through her passing away. And then I look at people that have passed away, my mum and my dad. I suffered through my mum passing. And it's really interesting what having my dog Billie put down is helping me look at is, do I want to suffer through this? Do I want to make this a thing? Do I want to tell everybody about it and go into, it's so sad, I miss her so much, my life isn't the same without her? And even though all of that is true, I don't have to suffer through that experience and holding on to the suffering and the pain and the victim. So I miss her, but it's almost as if I'm very content with her passing, and it's kind of hard to explain. I'm very much at peace with her passing, and every time something comes up and I think about her and there's a part of me that pulls me back down into suffering, I stop for a minute and I look and I say to myself, hold on a minute, even though she has gone, I do not have to pick up suffering. I can miss her without the suffering. I can miss her without the victim. I can miss her without feeling bad about myself, without feeling bad about my life now, without feeling like it's too hard to get up in the morning. I can make the choice to move forward without being attached to the suffering. Does that make sense? I really wanted to cover these 2 points because if you're a victim, like me, or were, if you're not any longer, but if you have been programmed and patterned over the years to be a victim, and suffering is at your core, you do not know a life without suffering, it takes a bit to make a different decision, to wake up in the morning and go, today I am not choosing to suffer, even though I do not have any money, even though I do not have work, even though I do not have a partner, even though I had my dog put down, even though my life looks like it's falling apart. I am choosing not to suffer through that experience, because it's the suffering that actually keeps it going, not the experience itself. Billie was put down 2 days ago. I do not think that she would want me suffering through her passing away and suffering through missing her. I just don't. I do not think that is what she would want me to do. So instead, I am making the choice to still miss her, but put the suffering down and look, when I pick it up and look at the victim story and look at the part of me that really wants to keep me in a victim and keep me feeling sad and keep me in bed and keep me unmotivated, because that is my natural pattern. That is my natural, that's what's at my core. So I am working now on putting that down, and I guess this has been the perfect example to put it down, is a pet passing where in the past it would have knocked me sideways and I really would have gone quite a dark place, and it would have been really hard to pull myself out of. This time I'm saying, no, I'm not even going into the dark place. There's no part of me that wants to go into the dark place. It's a pattern that wants to go into the dark place. It's stories in my mind, it's parts inside of me, but they are not me. I do not want to go into a dark place. I do not want to struggle and suffer and get to go into a dark depression again. I've only just pulled myself out of the last one in the last couple of months, and that has taken years. It's been 8 years since my mum passed away, and it's only been in the last probably 6 months that I have pulled myself out of that dark hole that I went into when she passed away. So I am not going back there again. I have spent most of my life in some form of darkness, and I can see some light now, and I don't want to go back. So this is a choice and a decision that I have to make every day at the moment. Do I want to go back into darkness? Do I want to go back into victim? Do I want to go back into suffering? Or do I want to stay out in the light, in the sunshine, in the happy, in the joy, in the, well, probably not joy, I'm not quite there yet. Maybe not even happy, just content. Content and calm is where I am at the moment. I have pulled myself to content and calm, which is vastly better than the deep, dark shithole that I was in throughout the last number of years. I just wanted to jump on and open a conversation about how we can approach our animals passing differently, and how we can approach the time that it comes for them to go, and instead of waiting until the very last moment because we don't want to let go, and we turn it around and we make an animal's passing more about them and less about us, and make it more about, is it the right time for them? It might not be the right time for you, but it's not about you, it's not about me, it's about them, it's about their life. And as humans, we have the power to make sure that they go in the nicest way possible. So if I can avoid the suffering for my dog, so her end of life is as nice as it possibly could be, then I am absolutely going to let her go before I absolutely positively have to, because I do not want to get to that point. That point is horrible and hard and painful, and I do not want that for her. So that's what I wanted to share. This is my dog Billie.